Ayo, where's the fish? DVD menus. We should all know what they are at this point. And if you don't, I don't know, I assume you were born like this year or something. You should also know what SpongeBob is, so yeah, whatever. It should also be known that DVD menus, along with DVDs, are being phased out. We're not just going to be covering the DVD menus, though. We're also going to be covering pretty much everything that comes before that, too. Also, I'll only bring up the VHS tapes if they have different trailers from the DVDs.
It's nautical nonsense and Sponge Buddies!
I would like to provide you the information that this is going to be covering the DVDs in release order. And it should be known that Nautical Nonsense and Sponge Buddies was the first SpongeBob DVD released. With that said, this has a lot of differences compared to other SpongeBob DVDs. One being the fact that this is the only SpongeBob DVD that I know of as of this point that shares the name with both of the VHS counterparts. There are some SpongeBob DVDs that share the name with one of the VHS counterparts, especially later on down the VHS line, but it's usually never both. Another thing that makes this one different is that it doesn't have the fish opening, as demonstrated in the beginning. You want to know what else it's lacking? Previews. So instead, I'll just be referring to the Sponge Buddies VHS trailers for this part. So on Nautical Nonsense and Sponge Buddies VHS tapes, yes, it is both of them, even though I am referring to the Sponge Buddies VHS tape, they advertise Paramount, Nautical Nonsense and Sponge Buddies, for whatever reason, Rugrats in Paris, Rugrats Decade in Diapers VHS set, Paramount for the third time, and then the weird Nickelodeon hedge maze thing. And now that we've gotten through all the previews without pushing the fast forward button, we can now enjoy our 5 tickling tales. You may remember me mentioning how the fish logo wasn't on this. Well, here's what was on here instead. And on the DVD side of things, when our trailers are done, we get to this menu with CapCut level editing and a loop, an infinite loop of the end credits song, like every other SpongeBob DVD menu. This menu is another thing that makes this DVD unique, as it doesn't stick to a specific theme when you go to the other menus, like the episode selection and the special features, both of which are kind of lackluster, but whatever. Also, when I said that they play the same music loop on every single SpongeBob DVD, I meant that.
In SpongeBob Halloween.
SpongeBob Halloween's opening was quite literally pretty much the same as the Nautical Nonsense and Sponge Buddies DVD, and unfortunately I could not find a high quality version of the VHS opening. Here is the menu. No, this is not a screenshot. This is probably the worst SpongeBob menu I've ever seen. The only thing it has above Nautical Nonsense and Sponge Buddies is that on the other options, it's actually consistent with the theming.
Seaworthy collection of SpongeBob SquarePants DVDs and home video.
Honestly, I hope this is the last one that doesn't have trailers, because I really don't want to track down the VHSs. Plus, another thing I do gotta say is this is the first one to use the fish logo at the beginning. And this time I did manage to track down a VHS recording of the opening. Being advertised here is Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius Movie on VHS and DVD, Nickelodeon Christmas VHS tapes, Nautical Nonsense and Sponge Buddies. I love being reminded of how I could be watching a way better VHS right now. Paramount logo number 2, but worse. And other Paramount logo. And then finally, the weird Nickelodeon hedge maze thing again. What a remarkable achievement. It's the first one with a transition into an actual menu. Anyways, with that said, this menu is quite interesting, as this is themed around the episode Shanghai, which is on this DVD. This actually has a few things better than the Nautical Nonsense menu, even though I do personally prefer the Nautical Nonsense menu. But, yeah, first of all, when you go to the other menus, the theming is consistent. And the editing is a lot better. And it still has the loop of the end credits song, Why do all of these choose that for some reason?
New releases coming this year from Nickelodeon and Paramount Home Entertainment.
This is my favorite SpongeBob DVD, and it's quite unfortunate that I don't own it anymore. But, yeah, since I did used to own it, I can verify that this one does have trailers. And since this is different from the first three, there's a lot more knowledge on it. This is one of the few DVDs that I can figure out what both of the VHS counterparts are. Although, to be honest, I don't think the previous two had other VHS counterparts. Tales from the Deep comes from both the Bikini Bottom Bash VHS and the Deep Sea Sillies VHS, one of which I used to own. Now, the previews cannot be seen when you first open the DVD, but if you go into the special features, it'll have an option for previews, so we'll just be using those. This advertises various Nickelodeon DVDs, and then the Tak and the Power of Juju video game, and on the VHS, it also advertises the Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius DVDs and VHSs, and Nautical Nonsense and Sponge Buddies, for whatever reason. By far, this is definitely the best DVD menu I've seen. This menu is themed around the episode SpongeBob's House Party. Another thing I can praise it for is the fact that it doesn't use the end credits song, which is one reason why this is probably one of my favorite DVD menus. Also, I'm no longer going to bring up theme consistency because this is what I like to call a different era of SpongeBob VHS tapes. Like, as you could tell, this one is obviously different from the rest. But since they've kind of got theming down now, that shouldn't be a problem.
Seeing special features.
Now, by the time this DVD ever appeared in advertisements, they'd kind of quit advertising the VHS tapes, although they did still exist. Also, if the VHS isn't advertised, I'm just not going to bring it up at all. But fortunately for us, at least one of the VHS tapes for this DVD appeared in the previous advertisement. The one that's in the background right now. This DVD's VHS counterparts are Anchors Away and The Sponge Who Could Fly. This DVD is very similar to the Tales of the Deep DVD in the sense of how it's structured. You know, the previews can't be seen when you first see the DVD. This DVD advertises the Wild Thornberrys movie, Jimmy Neutron VHS tapes and DVDs, and Tak and the Power of Juju. And exclusively on the VHS release, it also advertises some extra SpongeBob DVDs. The menu is themed around the episode The Sponge Who Could Fly, which actually premiered on the VHS version of it. And the DVD if it came out around the same time. The music, again, is not the SpongeBob end credits theme, but it's an instrumental rendition of the song He's Flying from within the episode. I'm taking away some points for the fact that the episode selection layout of the menu copied Nautical Nonsense and Sponge Buddies.
Bob SquarePants on VHS and DVD.
Ah yes, Hide and Seek. My second favorite SpongeBob DVD. This DVD actually marks the end of the era that takes place between this one and the Tales of the Deep DVD. This one is actually a little bit different from the previous two. You can actually see the previews when you first open the DVD. Things being advertised here are SpongeBob DVDs and VHS tapes. Usually not something you see on one of these DVDs. The Wild Thornberrys movie, Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius on DVD and video, twice, and Tak and the Power of Juju. We need to talk about this menu, because this is by far the best SpongeBob menu I have ever seen. This is my personal favorite, and it's themed around Plankton's lab. The background music, again, which is not the end credits theme, which is actually something common with this era. Not really seen in any other ones. Basically, this one plays the theme song instrumental over and over again, which is one other thing that makes this the best. Instead of just using, like, the soundtrack from, like, one specific episode, like, I could listen to this on repeat. But another thing I'd like to say about this menu is just, I once saw this in a dream. Years before I ever owned the DVD. I find that kind of interesting. Well, that's all for this video. I am a little bit afraid to say that this is gonna have to be a multi-parter. There's just too many DVDs for me to cover in this one video. I already started production on this last week. But you can always check out the SpongeBob Wiki for more information on these. Anyways, thank you for watching something that nobody cares about. I hope to see you next time.